Okay, so let's move on to supporting actress.
Okay.
Here are my 5. All right. Gwyneth Paltrow, Royal Tenenbaums.
Just nominate that whole movie.
I am. Really. Marisa Tomei in The Bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Haring for Mulholland Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Helen Mirren, Gosford Park. Another really good ensemble cast,
Okay.
which, funny enough, has Harry Potter at the center of it as well.
Yep.
Frances O'Connor, AI, Artificial Intelligence.
Yep.
What's
most of what you have there is what I was really considering for my 5. The first name that came to my mind when doing this list was Frances O'Connor from AI, which means she's probably she is my winner.
I would be shocked. I would have dropped dead on the spot if you went with anyone else for this category. So I'm glad you didn't, because I want to survive.
You know me too well, man. You know me too well.
Died.
Can't kill my co-host.
I would have absolutely died.
Although, I mean, I was almost tempted to give it to Marisa Tomei.
She's great.
I do think that's her. I love her and My Cousin Vinny. Don't get me wrong, but I think this is the best performance of her career in The Bedroom.
Okay.
It was hard, but as far as a few others, I too have Laura Haring or Haring, I guess is how you pronounce her last name, from Mulholland Drive. And I know you nominated Gwyneth Paltrow from The Royal Tenenbaums. I really like Angelica Houston in that movie as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's more of a passivity in that performance, but there's this lingering sorrow of feeling almost like abandoned by her former husband. So I think she carries that very well, which sort of gave it a slight edge for me. So I might give her the edge there, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can flip a coin between those two, between Houston and Paltrow, and both. Maybe both of them. I'm just going to throw them both in my nominees.
Fair enough.
How about that?
Go for it. Yeah, go.
Although, I also really like Scarlett Johansson in Ghost World.
I love her as well. She's my number 6 as it stands, and this is another reason that I wanted to be a little bit open-minded, because Angelica Houston, Scarlett Johansson are my 6 and 7, and I could swap out Helen Mirren, who I really do like. What I love about Helen Mirren's performance is the sleight of hand, because throughout a lot of the film, there's a stoicism to the character that I think is fantastic. And you know how I am about stoicism and subtlety.
Oh, for sure.
And then you get the reveal at the end, and all of a sudden that coin is flipped and her performance channels something completely different that I think is really tender and poignant. And I love it. I absolutely love how the film kind of molds that character, and the performance, I think, is pivotal into that reveal being as effective as it is. So that's why I threw in Helen Mirren there at 5. But I could be swayed by Houston and Scarlett Johansson. Those two are very much in the conversation for me, for sure. No doubt about it.
One name we didn't bring up is who actually won the Oscar that year for Best Supporting Actress, and that was Jennifer Connelly from A Beautiful Mind, who I think I think is the best thing in that movie.
I agree.
And again, I don't love that movie, but I do overall like it. And where the film is most successful, at least for me, is in its central romance, when it's focused on just being, dare I say, kind of a corny romance, if you want to call it that. I do think there is a wonderful, tender quality to it, mostly because of Jennifer Connelly. I don't think it's her best performance of her career, but I think she's really good in it.
I agree. I think she's really good. The other performance, and I mentioned this earlier because I wasn't sure, but if Penelope Cruz in Vanilla Sky is supporting, then she's probably my 5th, and I'm swapping out Helen Mirren.
Gotcha.
If that's indeed where it lies. Well, I guess I shouldn't say conclusively, but maybe, probably. She's at least she's heavily more in this conversation for me. I just put it that way, because I do think Cruz is phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
My winner, though, is Gwyneth Paltrow, Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
I think this
Okay.
is her best performance, and I don't even know
Yeah.
if it's close for me.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, yeah, yeah. As I think about it, maybe that is something I can't push back on that much. Um, I mean, yeah, she's very good at it. She's
She's great.
really great in it.
I mean, and I don't and trust me. I say that with all the love in my heart for Frances O'Connor, who is very, very good in AI, and probably my number two here. Definitely my number two here. Yeah, definitely my number two. Love her.
I'm glad to at least hear that.
So, but yeah, Tomei, Haring, I don't think those performances are going. Tomei's definitely not going anywhere. Haring, I love her in Mulholland Drive. She's really great. Yeah,
Mhm.
just I could see a world where I put in Cruise and I put in maybe a Scarlett Johansson.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
So that's
or
where I
an
sit.
Angelica Houston, from
Yeah,
Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel like you just got to nominate every performance from the Royal Tenenbaums, right?
yes, yeah. Well, so the other one
Almost you did.
too. Yeah, I did. Yeah, the Royal. Yeah, an all timer. We'll get to that next week, I guess. The other movie that I thought of here is Fat Girl. So, and again, have you seen it?
Still haven't seen it
Still
yet.
haven't seen it.
That's on my list to
Okay.
to lump in at the last minute.
Okay. So the reason I contemplate supporting instead of lead is that although maybe it's the Training Day thing where you have two leads, it could be that,
Mm.
or it's the Ocean's 11 thing of they're all supporting. I don't know.
There are no
Like I
leads.
couldn't figure out where it all goes because, and the reason I say this, and I guess I don't want to get into it too much, but the film is titled Fat Girl, obviously. So
Yeah.
the 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 central performance of the film, and I'm not sure how to say her name, Anais Rabu. I'm probably butchering
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
At any rate, she is our central character. However, because of how the narrative plays out, in many ways, it's really more about her sister, Alina, played by Roxanne Mesquita. God, I'm butchering that. Please forgive me. At any
All
rate,
good.
it's really more about Alina in a lot of ways. So even though she is the titular character, she's almost in the backdrop for half of the movie, if not more than that. And so I struggled to figure out, is she supporting or lead? I don't know. I don't think she would crack my five as a lead, but if we're thinking about it through the prism of supporting, I could see her being in the fight for one of those five there.
Okay.
Really, both of them. Honestly, I think both performances are excellent. So those are two that I would also consider. I just didn't know where to place them. So, but on my notes here, I had them as supporting because they felt
Okay.
like they were both supporting each other. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but that's where I land.
Yeah.
Anyone else out there listening, maybe you'll be able to tell me one way or another more.
Yeah, I do need to watch this one. It's still on my list, and the way you, I guess, sort of like inadvertently sold it to me, given the sleight of hand that the film
Mhm.
presents at the end, just made me so curious about it. And I want to know more. I'm not, I take it back. I don't want to know any more about it. So
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
leave it
just
at that.
watch it. Maybe you'll be able to throw in an opinion there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. I don't know. The film narratively though is more about her sister
Hmm.
than it is her, but we see her reaction to these things, which is why the film is that way.
Sure.
But what we see on the surface is less about our central figure, so it makes things a little bit weird in the context of this conversation. As a
Hmm.
film, it's great, but when we're talking awards and where to put people, like the labeling is all off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, those are really my only other thoughts as far as supporting actress goes.
Yeah. I think that's all I think that's all
Yeah.
I have for that category as well. I'll just reiterate once again, Frances O'Connor, you make me cry.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Really, really moving. I mean, one of the things we talked about for this episode, we contemplated also doing best scenes instead of
I am
performances.
so glad we did not do that.
Because yes, if we're talking about the best scenes of 2001, there is absolutely no doubt, at least for me. I mean, because we could talk about the ending and how great that is as well, but that moment where she drops off Teddy in the woods,
I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the world.
uh, devastating, just
Mhm.
absolutely heartbreaking in
Yeah.
every way. It is phenomenal.
But that's what's so great about her performance in that movie is that she kind of has to give two completely different performances between her
Mhm.
performance as Monica and then what I'm going to dub as Monica 2.0 by the end. They're not the same character, but they have to be
Mhm.
perceived by David as the same character.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the film's brilliance in its own way.
Yeah.
And she's so great at balancing that.
It's so good. I agree. Maybe we'll talk about it more next week. We'll
Oh, we
just leave it
will,
there.
because it's the best movie
We
of the
know.
year.
Okay. Well, there it is.